Welcome back. US President Donald Trump announced that India will face a penalty over its ties with Russia. In a social media post, he said, and quote, "They have always bought a vast majority of their military equipment from Russia and are Russia's largest buyer of energy at a time when everyone wants Russia to stop killing in Ukraine," end of quote. As per a report by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Russia is the biggest arms supplier of equipments and systems for the Indian Armed Forces. Between 2020 and 2024, 36% of India's arms imports came from Russia. However, that's smaller than 55% in the previous 5-year period and almost 72% in the period between 2010 and 2014. The US has been wanting India to procure more defense equipment from it, including F-35 fighter jets. President Trump and Prime Minister Modi's joint statement in February had also mentioned this. However, the Ministry of External Affairs today has informed the Parliament that there has been no formal discussion on the acquisition of F-35s by India. So what would Trump's penalty mean for India-US defense ties and India-Russia defense ties as well? To take this forward, I'm now joined by former Defense Secretary G. Mohan Kumar. Mr. Kumar, thank you very much for joining us. Let me begin, first of all, by asking you about the F-35s. Do you get a sense that the anger with India on our defense relationship with Russia is primarily because India is not agreeing to buy the F-35s, and even previously, the US has made offers to sell jets to India, but there has been a historical concern. Why is that? And do you think India will ever agree to buying F-35s?
Good evening, Parishit. Thank you for having me on the program. Yeah, the question is, it's a very delicate issue which is going on now because trade is being related to defense purchases and other things. I think this F-35 is maybe one of the factors that the US is looking at, because this aircraft they have been trying to sell it to India for a long time now, and so they would try to put pressure on India to buy this aircraft. Whether we buy this aircraft or not, as it has been made clear elsewhere, will depend upon what our national security needs are and how what kind of requirements we have. It's not that just because it's being offered or somebody is pressuring us to buy it, we will buy it, because that will be compromising our national integrity, national security, decision-making independence, the strategic independence. So we have to consider very carefully what exactly we need for a stealth aircraft, like F-35. Of course, we are in the process of designing our new aircraft, this stealth aircraft AMCA. That's long way off, and there is opinion in certain quarters that there should be some interim arrangements. Now, whether we need an interim arrangement will depend upon our threat perceptions in the neighborhood, what we need against Pakistan, what we need against China. Because as far as Pakistan is concerned, China it will be very quick to share with Pakistan the stealth fighters they have. They already have something, and so it depends upon our own analysis of the situation. Now, the most important thing is that how we can defend ourselves, that air defense part. If there are any alternatives in buying this aircraft. But the fact remains that you cannot allow the United States of America, in the name of trade, to pressure India to buy an equipment from them, unless India needs that equipment.
Okay, Mr. Mohan Kumar, what do you think is the historical concern that the Indian Defense Ministry, it's not just the current government, probably over the last 15 to 20 years, there has been some concern about buying fighter jets from US. Is it because it's also with Pakistan, or is it because if we buy these fighter jets, we won't have full control about how and when we use these fighter jets?
No, you're right. Because, when we bought the Rafale aircraft, for instance, the Americans were also in the fray, but they couldn't qualify. And so we got it according to the technical and financial bidding, and we procured the Rafale aircraft after following all the procedures. So because that met our needs very well. So, yeah, but as far as the equipment is concerned, even this F-35, what I hear about it is that there's a lot of controls being exercised by the United States, even among countries of the European Union and in the NATO countries. You know, they are very sometimes they are not very happy with the thing because there are so many controls. There are communication controls that they're not willing to share with them the source codes and all those things, and so it's very difficult having the aircraft. Yeah, because they also don't have that much independence handling the aircraft. So it's
Right.
also even exaggerated. Maybe there are exaggerated claims that even America can control these aircraft remotely. So be that whatever that is, what India should do is we need not see that was one part of the story. I mean, but this other part is, see, whenever we enter into an agreement with USA on fighter jets, so there's a lot of other controls coming. The Comcasa agreement was like communication
Right.
compatibility agreement. No, which is it's really this is not it's affecting our independence of action. So that's one of the
Right.
reasons why
And,
yeah.
You're right, sir, because we've seen how many of these agreements have moved slowly. Take 404 engines, for example. Those deliveries have been delayed. We've just got 1 or 2 engines in the last few months. Our entire indigenous fighter jet program is delayed as a result. Apache helicopters were delayed. So India is right to have those concerns with the US. But do you think what US is asking us to make compromises with Russia, buy less energy, stop buying Russian defense equipment, is it possible for India to do that?
Well, as far as the trade agreements are concerned, Russia is picked by the fact that India is buying a lot of oil from Russia, and of course, as I understand, there are alternate sources available, and if we get cheaper oils elsewhere, we should be going for the oil from other countries. We need not completely depend on Russia. We can move away. We can diversify. But as far as military equipment is concerned, no, the last solid equipment that we got from Russia was the S-400. And as you know, everybody knows what role S-400 played. It was a robust equipment, and it was really, the strong pillar behind India's air defense. So this S-400, see, we should now focus on S-400. What kind of deliveries we have, and we should buy that and completely complete the procurement process. Because of the Ukraine war with Ukraine, Russia could not stick to its commitment of supplying it within the specified time. So now we should concentrate on getting all those equipment from Russia. Now, as far as other equipment are concerned, I think even before, my personal view is that the buying of military equipment in Russia was not a very happy experience, because the serviceability of the equipment was always under question, because spare parts, the supply of spare parts, the logistics, I mean, it was not very good. And as a result, there was a lot of impatience with the Russian equipment, and we had also started the process of diversifying
Right.
our purchases. And I think we should continue that process, and especially in this situation when Russia is engaged in a war with Ukraine, and they themselves are finding it difficult to meet their own requirements. India should not be going there to buy key equipment. And all we can depend on Russia is for the maintenance and supply of spare parts and logistics for other equipment which we have already bought and which are under service in the armed forces.
Right. That's an important point to end on, sir. Our military imports from Russia, even though it remains our top supplier, they have been declining from 72% in 2010, 55% in 2015, 2024 it was 36%. We are buying more from the US. We continue to buy more from countries like France, for that matter. So clearly, there will be more defense purchases from the US on the anvil as well. Thank you very much for that balanced discussion. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.